Okay, so we should be live. I know that we're live here in the Hamza Discord server. We should also be live on YouTube. Hopefully the audio and if you're watching on YouTube, also the video is coming in clearly, I hope. Let's make sure that everybody's here. Okay. All right, I'm glad that you can hear me clearly. That's the point of this, is that you can hear me clearly and that we can communicate with one another. We'll take a few more moments to get settled in. Go ahead and grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, light some incense, and we're going to begin with this lecture, this talk, in just a few moments. Hi there, everybody who's tuning in on YouTube, especially hey there to Hoa Lu. And the link to the YouTube live stream you can find on the Discord. And anyone who's going through difficulty, I hope that you'll be okay. All right. So we're going to start this practice with this event, this talk, with kind of looking at what is enlightenment. What does it mean to be enlightened, especially within a Buddhist context? So enlightenment in a Buddhist content is not becoming like a Super Saiyan or getting magical powers or anything like that. Becoming enlightened means that you have attained, you have experienced, you have awoken to the ending of suffering. In Buddhism, we say the ending of dukkha, the ending of dissatisfaction. So a major quality that we all have in our lives as human beings, right, is we have this quality of unsatisfactoriness, that no matter what we eat, no matter what we drink, no matter where we go, no matter what we watch, etc., etc., there's this feeling of not being satisfied. And even when we're in an ideal state of pleasure or comfort, or, we're in the perfect state of experience, we know that it's impermanent. We know that it's temporary. So there is also that quality of unsatisfactoriness, right? If we have something that's really amazing, really wonderful, we're experiencing it, but it's not permanent, then there's an unsatisfactoriness to it. Okay? So becoming enlightened means to end that sense of unsatisfactoriness, to wake up, to really experience peace, to really experience enlightenment. I'll put the link to the live stream on a YouTube. That's the link to watch the live stream on YouTube. So the practice of becoming enlightened is not something you can buy. It's not something you can purchase. It's not even something you can believe in. But it's a way of approaching your life moment by moment. It's a way of practicing to be in the present moment, right? To be aware of what's going on right now. And what's going on right now is not a vague idea. It's not a vague concept. It's not a general concept. What's going on right now? If you rub your two fingers together, you will feel sensations. You will feel the body. You will be aware of the body in the present moment. And so to be aware of the body in the present moment is to be aware of what's happening right now. This isn't vague. This isn't general. This is nothing to be confused about. So to be enlightened is also to be in the present moment, to be awake, to be aware to the truth, to what's happening right now. So, in practicing to become enlightened, to be enlightened, you can be aware of your breath at this moment, because the breath is this doorway, this avenue, this pathway to releasing and relaxing any tensions or complicated thinking that you may be having at this moment, right? It's this pathway to the present. Most of the time, we are not emphasizing to be in the present. Most of the time, we are not emphasizing to be awake and aware, and instead, we focus to move towards something that we want and to get away from something that we don't want. And this is just like a never ending hamster wheel of chasing after a goal that you can never reach. And you can never reach the goal because there's a deeper goal that underlies the goal that you think is most important to you. And that deeper goal is to be happy and is to be at peace in your life, right? So whether it's to get a six pack or to become athletic, to lose weight, whatever your goal is that you have in your life for self-improvement, for becoming, a better version of yourself, becoming an Adonis, whatever it might be, whatever you want to call it, why do you want to do that? What is the reason that you want to do that anyway? Well, the reason you want to do that is because you want to be happy. You want to be at peace. You want to be free. Free from suffering, free from attachment, free from clinging, right? This tight knot of holding on to, tensions in the body, complicated thinking, judgments about ourselves and others. So take a moment right now to notice what the posture of your body is. Notice where you're sitting, how you're sitting, if your legs are crossed, if your back is straight or hunched over, if your back is supported or not. Notice if there's any tension or tightness in your body, in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your butt, anywhere. See if there's any tension. Notice, become aware at this moment of the feeling of the breath. The feeling of the breath coming in through your nose and going out. Now, this practice here is to continuously become aware of these normal, ordinary, present moment experiences. The sensations you feel when you rub your fingers together. And for those who don't know, we're also live streaming on YouTube. It's a better quality audio, and you can also see me there. So if you want to join on YouTube, there's the link. We have to continuously come back to the present moment if we want to be enlightened, if we want to walk this path. One of the best ways to do that is to become aware at this moment and again and again and again at these further this moments that are continuously presented to you, available to you, right? This present moment is never lacking. It's never taking a break. You don't have to wake up the present moment or say, hey, wake up. Where did you go, Mr. Present Moment? It's always there. It's always right here, right now. And so when we turn our mind inward, instead of looking out towards our relationship with objects, our relationship with ideas, social situations, the mind goes that way, we act that way, but when we turn the mind around, when we notice that, and we bring our attention and our awareness back to the breath, back to the body, the physical sensations, the experience of having a body at this moment, we put ourselves in a position to become enlightened very quickly, to wake up. to wake up from being in a dreamlike state where we characterize ourselves according to a story, a belief, an idea. Your body is not a story. Your body is not defined by past and future. Your body only exists at this moment. Your mind as well only exists at this moment. We have a general framework, belief, idea about past experiences, and we should take responsibility for that. We should take responsibility for our past perceptions about experiences and mistakes and harms that we caused or helps that we caused. We should take responsibility for all of that, our perception of what we experienced. But what we experienced was not and is not the truth. It was simply a particular looking glass, a particular small viewpoint that we had on reality, on this human experience that is so multifaceted, so many different people, places, environmental factors, all of this past and future came together for you to perceive things in the way that you did. And, take responsibility for that perception and how you were at that time. But don't mistake that for this real, true story of yourself. That is now expressed, now this real self is here at this present moment. That's not really, even if there was a real self, even if there was even if there is a true real you, a real soul, a real self, still, it's not defined by your perception of past experiences, because all of those other factors that had nothing to do with you, with yourself, were just as important and really far more essential, far more important than whatever you had to do with it, right? Because we act according to our conditioning. We act according to how we were raised, the people we were around, the people we're around now, the environment that we're in right now. So even then, these past experiences don't define a solid self. They just define or point to your perception of past experiences. So the topic of this talk and the topic of this lecture is, and for those who don't know, some people are probably watching who follow me, not through Hamza's Discord server, but just follow me in general, and you might be seeing this on YouTube. This is a lecture being held on the Hamza's Discord server, which is a self-improvement community, really active, wonderful self-improvement community. And the topic of this lecture is Become Enlightened, a step-by-step guide with a monk. And so, you couldn't pick a more difficult topic, really, or a more easy topic. It's a matter of perception. But to become enlightened is to breathe. To become enlightened is to walk. To become enlightened is to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch. And it's also none of those things. So we don't need a step-by-step guide to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch. But we so often don't allow ourselves to be enlightened by, that is, to be refreshed, restarted, brought to the present moment by just seeing, by just hearing, by just smelling, by just being aware of the body. We're constantly transfixed. We're constantly enchanted by our perceptions and our reactivity, our ideas and our stories about our sense perceptions. And so it puts us in a position where it's very difficult to become enlightened, to wake up, to refresh, and to restart. But from the Buddhist perspective, we can say that becoming enlightened is seeing into the truth of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So, what is that? That is impermanence, non self, and unsatisfactoriness. Impermanence, non self, and unsatisfactoriness that are continuously and constantly alive and an aspect of reality at any given moment. So to see through to the truth of impermanence, of non-self, of unsatisfactoriness of any material experience, any sensual experience, that it actually doesn't satisfy you. To see fully into that is to become enlightened. So non-self goes back to what I was just speaking of, where we are codependently existing. We are appearing to be a self that is separate from the environment or a self that is separate from other people. But in truth, we know that we are not really that separate. Maybe in some simple way, some kind of arbitrary way, we are separate from the world or the people around us. But in a absolute way, we're not separate at all. We're not separate from the environment in terms of the temperature, the quality of the air, the ability to have the air there. We're not separate in terms of how we grew up, right? And all of the influences that created this brain to be the way that it is. And in the present moment, we're totally not our current self state, right? Our current self experience that we're having right now of myself is totally dependent. It's not in any way independent from, totally dependent on the temperature of the room that I'm in, the people that I'm around. I'm alone right now. The feeling of being comfortable in the body rather than the body being racked with pain because of some environmental factor, right? So this concept of no self is not a rejection of a soul or a rejection of a self, but it's more a seeing into the interdependent nature of all of your experiences, the interdependent nature of yourself, for sure, that you have never existed separately from anything else, and that nothing exists separately from anything else. That's the idea. Nothing exists separate from anything else. Secondly, impermanence, seeing into the truth of impermanence. Any sensation of the body, any thought, any relationship, any object that you feel that you own or possess, anything and everything in your life is inherently impermanent. And the moment that it arises, the moment that you become aware of anything, a thought, a feeling, an idea, a belief, the moment that you move into a new room, whatever you become aware of, at that moment, it contains within it the seed of its own ending. Nothing is permanent. Your body is totally impermanent. The people that you love are totally impermanent. Every single thought that you have, every idea about yourself, every idea about the world, everything and then some is totally and completely, fundamentally impermanent. And some people might say to this, so what? And if you're thinking of it in this philosophical kind of way, then sure, say, you can say, so what? Or many people have different interpretations of what is the significance of nothing being permanent fundamentally. But I'm not speaking, what I'm talking about in terms of becoming enlightened, seeing into the truth, the deep truth of impermanence, is not about the logical or kind of philosophical idea of that. And it's we can say, so what? Yeah, well, that's true, but so what? I'm talking about it's a mark of reality itself in the present moment. So it's a way of perceiving, it's a way of experiencing with wisdom, with insight that, oh my, wait a minute. Every time that I've been upset or angry or felt lust or felt desire or felt fear, every single time that I've experienced anything like that, it's come up and it's gone away. And it's not just gone away in a general sense, it's completely gone away. In the same way that the world, the earth, is going to completely go away. Your body as you know it is going to go completely away, and that this is a lived experience. This isn't an idea, but this is a lived experience that we can see into if we look closely at what's happening moment by moment. And finally is a dukkha. This is the old Buddhist word for it, dukkha, which means suffering, or it means unsatisfactoriness. So that there is a fundamental quality of unsatisfactoriness to everything that you experience. You've got a computer, you want the best, okay, let's do it like this. You've got a computer and you're not satisfied with it. You want the best computer. You want literally the best computer. You get literally the best computer. It will not satisfy you. You're not satisfied with your body. You don't like your body. You get the best body that you can have. It will not satisfy you. That's why these bodybuilders, right? They're dying at 40 years old. They're dying at 50 years old. It won't satisfy you because it is impermanent. It won't satisfy you because it doesn't belong to you. It's just something that you happen to be experiencing at that moment. And the deeper interest that you have is not in pleasure. It's in peace. It's in freedom. And this deeper peace and this deeper freedom is not going to be given to you by some object or some experience that you have. Instead, it is recognizing, seeing into the nature of all experiences being impermanent. In this way, satisfaction through detachment. Satiating desire, halting and calming all fear through detachment, through letting go. But this isn't falling asleep. This isn't having a dirty room. This isn't eating McDonald's until you die. This is to detach, to let go, to take a step back from any and all experiences that you may be going through. To take a step back. You can do what you want to do. You should try to take care of your body and take care of your mind, but take a step back from any and all experiences. Recognize that they are impermanent. Recognize that they do not exist separate from anything else. Recognize that they are unsatisfactory. So this allows us to stop chasing after objects or people or experiences because we think that they're somehow going to satisfy us. To be satisfied, to satiate, to stop, to halt desire, to stop this wheel of this wagon wheel, this hamster wheel of chasing, going towards something and running away from things, is to detach, to let go. And to be awake and aware and to let go, to take a step back from any particular phenomenal experience. And we can get this idea out of our mind that having a body or having a mind or having physical or mental experiences are somehow supposed to be satisfying. that, a monk or Jake Paul or some celebrity or some person who seems so cool and so has all the relationships and things, that they're somehow satisfied with their life. They're not satisfied. They're chasing. They feel suffering. They feel loss. They feel gain. They feel pain. They feel pleasure. So just because you have what you want, just because you are somewhat skillful at avoiding pain and getting pleasure, does not mean that you are enlightened, does not mean that you are free, does not mean that you are independent. And we have to really prioritize what is meaningful to us. What is bringing about wholesome, peaceful states of mind? Is it arguing with people? Is it getting into petty discussions and petty debates with people that we don't know? This is right and this is wrong? Or is it to take a step back from any given situation, any given experience, and just to take a full moment, not a half moment, not a third of a moment, but take a full moment. And as you practice this, as you try this, you can get better at it. Your ability to take a moment, your ability to step back, to just breathe, to just be aware will become empowered, become stronger. So before we get into the Q&A period, which we will begin soon, I'm going to read a short article here on reconnecting with our enlightenment nature. So there's this concept in Buddhism, especially Zen Buddhism, that a part of our nature, a part of our normal, ordinary mind is this bodhi, this awakening, this enlightenment. That enlightenment is not something we have to strive to achieve or to chase after, but that enlightenment is actually something that is right here, right now. It's just a matter of us reconnecting with that, reconnecting fully. And I will ask anyone who's talking in the lecture chat channel, please, this isn't a time to talk, and I would appreciate if you don't distract other people who are trying to listen. Let's all take a step back from the keyboards. This isn't a time to chat right now. I ask everyone, take a deep breath and listen deeply. Okay? Reconnect. Probably none of you will admit that you don't know who you really are. When asked about it, you would certainly say, I am just myself. Yet, have you ever thought about what that so-called self that you believe in really is? Who are you really? From your childhood until the present day, maybe because everyone has called you by your name, you have gotten used to thinking of yourself as that name. You might think, this name represents me, and I am just this name. But upon reflection, you will find that your identity depends entirely on an endless collection of things to prop it up. My body is me. My home is me. My thoughts are me. My abilities are me. My property is me. Or even my wife, husband, and children are all mine. And you may find that when you lose one of these things, your entire idea of me fundamentally shifts. Yet, does all this reveal who you really are? For example, who owns this body? I do. Who has these thoughts? I do. Who has these ideas? I do. Who makes these judgments? I do. Who owns this money? I do. It is always I. But in the end, who is this I? In fact, there is no I. We simply don't know who we are. Since childhood, we have been possessed by excessive values and by the material world. Without realizing it, we have become merely puppets to the external environment. Does anybody here often feel like a puppet to the external environment? We cry, we laugh, we are happy, upset, all for our body, our properties, our families, and everything that is mine. Nevertheless, all these concerns are for things considered as mine, and none of it concerns the true self. None of it concerns a sense of depth about truly asking, who am I? Who are you? It's just things that you consider to be yours because you are able to have them at this moment. You happen to have them at this moment. And anybody who's distracted by the lecture chat and the Discord, please join the YouTube and watch through there, okay? So how foolish this is, that all of our concerns are for things considered as mine, but none of it concerns a deeper sense of understanding ourselves, who we truly are, who we really are. If we think about it, at the moment we were born to this world, we did not have any knowledge of it or any memories, and we were certainly not educated. Nevertheless, as time passed, we learn how to distinguish names, forms, and quantities. After that, we make value judgments such as, will this be good for me or bad? Who loves me and who doesn't? What do I like and what do I dislike? Moreover, in the long process of becoming members of society, somehow we learn to silence our own true voice and cover up our true feelings just to be accepted by others. As a result, over a long time, we become oblivious to our true feelings as we continue to act untrue to ourselves. This is a big thing that a lot of people go through, right? You spent so much time trying to adapt and accommodate and change yourself or kind of put on a face so that other people would understand you or relate to you in a way that you thought was good. And eventually down the road, you don't know your own face. You don't even know about yourself. You can't even sit with yourself for a minute. You can't even just breathe and be aware of your body for a minute. You're so disconnected from reality, from truth, from any sense of introspection or contemplation, just completely and totally disconnected from it, walking around with a mask, and not only a mask outside, but a mask facing inside all the time. Living like this, as a result, over a long time, we become oblivious to our true feelings as we continue to act untrue to ourselves. We also lose the ability to discern the true nature of things, so we lose our clear vision. We lose our wisdom eye. We can't see clearly. We can't see with discrimination. We just see our own mask facing back at us. Our body and mind always seem out of our control. Your true self should be capable of being your master, of dispatching, allocating, and controlling the activities of your body and mind. That's what this is all about, becoming your own master, meeting the master face to face. When you have mastery of yourself, this is the true self. When you find this true self, you will follow the direction you should be going. You'll have the mastery of your hands to rescue and help others, instead of killing or beating them. You'll have mastery of your own mind to awaken a repentant and humble mind, rather than an arrogant and conceited one. Become Enlightened, a step-by-step guide. You will have a mastery of your own mind to awaken a repentant and humble mind. Repent, give up, let go, recognize your unskillful habits and activities up to this point. Repent. Take responsibility and say that was wrong. That wasn't right. I won't do that again. I don't want to do that again. That's not what I want to be involved with. Mastery of your own mind means you will be able to awaken, which is at the heart of establishing yourself in enlightenment and wisdom and really being based in chill AF, to awaken a repentant and humble mind. Really be humble, really be repentant. Everyone here is deeply unskillful, deeply problematic. You're running around causing problems all the time for yourself and other people. Myself included, I'm here too. So we awaken a repentant mind where we recognize that we are not particularly wonderful and skillful, and we give that up. And a humble mind, rather than an arrogant and conceited one. Arrogance and conceit will send you straight to hell, and it'll send you to a place of weakness and confusion. Still, we are too easily influenced by an environment that is forever in flux. According to Buddhism, that is due to the influence of karmic forces. The force of karma can be understood as the collective result which appears to us in this world due to all the good and bad actions in our innumerable past lives. Now, we can also say this in terms of innumerable past moments, because just like we talked about before, right? The self that you have right now, the self experience that you have right now, is totally dependent on the environment that you're in right now. If this environment drastically changes, that self also drastically changes, and we couldn't really say it's the same self. But when we talk about the true self, that self has complete mastery. So it's no longer dependent on the conditions of the environment, the conditions of change. I believe that nobody wants to be judged as a mere appendage to the environment, and that everyone wants to be their own master. This means that to keep our feet firmly on the ground, we need a resolute mind and the inner strength of this resolution to change. Otherwise, we will be too easily affected and influenced by the environment. We would only follow others and become mere appendages to the environment, rather than someone capable of effecting change. So let's all do our best in all that we do. Learn what we should learn, shoulder the responsibilities that we should, give whatever we can within our capacity, and improve ourselves continuously. These are the best ways to reconnect with our true self. So the title of this lecture here on the Hamza Discord server is Become Enlightened, a Step-by-Step Guide. So what is that step-by-step guide? Do your best in all that you do. Learn what you should learn. Shoulder the responsibilities that you should shoulder. Give whatever you can within your capacity. Be generous. Give. And improve yourself continuously. Continuously, not daily. Continuously. All the time, every moment, every second, every breath, every sound, every sight, every sensation in your body. Improve yourself continuously. These are the steps. These are the best ways to become enlightened, to connect with your true self. I wish all the best for everyone and hope that you will reconnect with yourselves. And I do truly hope that. That was a short reading from a Zen master, Sheng Yen. Not the whole lecture wasn't, but just those last few moments. So we're now going to do a short guided meditation. And after that, we'll have time for a few questions, okay? So everyone go ahead and adjust your posture. Find a comfortable position to meditate in. I'm actually going to show you what adjusting your posture looks like. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're not going to be able to see what adjusting your posture looks like. Go to the lecture chat channel and see the link there. I'm going to show you what adjusting your posture looks like. So I was sitting in a chair, and now I'm going to adjust my posture. So I'm standing up, sitting back down for a sec, but do a bit of a change. So going to adjust my posture. That means a lot of cables and things here. That means maybe stand up, especially if you're sitting in an office chair and you've just been sitting around a lot. Then go ahead and take a moment to stand up. Adjust a little bit more here. Okay. So take a moment to stand up and then sit back down. And I like to sit cross-legged. That's kind of my monk style of meditation, is that I sit cross-legged. And if you are listening to the lecture on Discord, I highly recommend you tune into the live stream now so you can see the sitting. But you don't need to go to a yoga class. You don't need to become a monk. You don't need to sit in a special position, okay? You don't need to wear a robe. All you need to do is take a moment to find a comfortable, stable position for your body. If you're sitting in a chair, if you're sitting on a couch, if you're sitting cross-legged on top of a mountain, all that is great. But just take a moment to find a comfortable, stable position for your body to sit in. Give a moment for everyone to find that position, okay? So finding that comfortable, stable position, you can close your eyes and begin noticing that you have to breathe. Close your eyes, sitting comfortably, just sit in a good position. Close your eyes. Begin noticing that you have to breathe. So the breath is certainly happening or you'll die immediately. So you have to breathe. So close your eyes and start noticing that fact of your breathing, one way or another. It doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are, you've got to breathe. Breathing is happening. So it doesn't matter how bumpy and clunky and full of nonsense your mind is and jittery and jattery, you've got to breathe. So begin noticing that and lean into it. Lean into the breath. Meaning, okay, I have to breathe. I don't have to think. I don't have to be, playing Xbox all the time. I don't need to watch YouTube all the time, but I have to breathe. So give some of your attention, give some of your presence, your embodiment to that breathing. Participate in breathing. You can begin to notice the physicality of the breath. So the feeling of the breath in the body, maybe it's the nose, the stomach, maybe there's some physicality, there's a directness to breathing. Begin to notice that as you're sitting with your eyes closed. Notice the effect that breathing has on the body. Allow yourself for these few moments to put down, to give up everything else. Outside stuff, inside stuff, it's there. It might come up, but you just don't be involved with it. Just really lean into the breathing. Feel the effect that the breathing process has on the body. Bring up a sense of curiosity about the breath, sense of interest in breathing. And it might seem a little bit superficial at the beginning, this interest in breathing, but reinvest, bring up that interest again and lean into the breath. And the most difficult part is you allow yourself to do this. You're not running on a treadmill. You're allowing your natural state of breathing to become primary point of focus in your life at this moment. You're allowing that to happen. So just sitting comfortably, feeling the breath happening, however it's happening. Don't get into a fight with the breath. Just you're being with the breath and breathing. However that's happening is fine. As we hear the sound of the bell invites us to give an extra layer of curiosity and interest to this practice of breathing. Being with the breath as it flows in and flows out. Breathing and being aware. Just breathing and being aware. Allow the body to become more and more relaxed, more and more where it is. Notice any tension or feeling to move or uncomfortableness, and just make peace with it. Maybe there's a feeling of pain or tightness, or that you're not sitting quite right. Just breathe and make peace with whatever you're experiencing at this moment. Relax, release. Just breathe and be aware. Meditation is never about falling into a state of trance or sleepiness or a trip, but to continuously be aware, to feel, to touch, having a body, the breath flowing in, flowing out. Fully being here with what's happening, whatever that is. Our breath flowing in, flowing out is just like a guideline for being with this moment. Keeps us inside this practice of just being with, instead of trying to change, to fix, to go somewhere else. The practice of meditation is to detach from desire, from I want that, I like that. Meditation is to detach, to put down, I don't like that. I need that to change. Meditation is to pick up, to be aware of what's happening at this moment. Sensations, thoughts, feelings, movement, sights, sounds, smells. Just to be aware, to be present to what's happening right now. step by step, breath by breath. Becoming enlightened is as easy as hearing the sound of the bell. So you can open your eyes if they're closed, and you can massage your face, your head, massage your neck, stretch a little bit. Take a moment to come back to this normal, ordinary way of being. So, this is the practice, this is the path. And it starts by prioritizing goodness. That's how it starts. To prioritize not using everything that's precious to you for yourself, but instead to give it away, to give it up, to share, to be generous with your body, to be generous with your mind, to be generous with your time, instead of just more and more self-focus, more and more self-attachment all the time. If we can ask this question right now, we can ask this question deeply: how can I be a good person? How can I benefit the people who are around me? How can I do good deeds? How can I do acts of goodness? What can I do? If we can ask this question deeply, we can start to do those things that are good, not just for ourselves, but for others also. And eventually for all. We do good for all. That's the real Adonis. The real Adonis is not only taking care of themselves, but actually they empower themselves so that they can take care of their community, their family, their loved ones, their community. And the bigger that Adonis becomes, the bigger that scope, that spectrum of taking care becomes. That spectrum of generosity becomes. So if we really get a hold of it, we can do for all. Every moment, every activity, every self-development practice that we're doing is not just for ourselves, but it's for all. It's to benefit all. So through being good, doing good, practicing meditation, we start to see into the true self, the true nature of who we are, of what reality is, of what life is. We don't just skim the surface anymore, but we actually look deeply into it. Doing good deeds, doing acts of generosity, using our body and mind, our money to help other people, that helps the mind to be settled and calm. We feel safe. We feel, we're okay to be with ourselves, right? When you do good, you feel okay to be with yourself. When you are constantly doing all kinds of nonsense, you don't feel comfortable to be with yourself. Even alone, you feel afraid, you feel self conscious, you feel guilty, right? So, doing good, not just for yourself, but for people around you, you feel comfortable to be with yourself. With that comfortable to be with yourself, do more, do more and more good. But you can also practice meditation. You can start to look into the nature of your mind, the nature of your body. You can start to look into the truth. What is the truth? To do good deeds, to be aware of the present moment, and to practice to take a step back from all experiences, all phenomena, mental or physical. This has been a step-by-step guide to becoming enlightened. You'll have to forgive me because I haven't completed the course myself, but I'm in a position to share about it. Um, so I hope I'll be able to complete the guide and complete the course myself, but as of yet, it's still a work in progress. So we will take a few questions. So if you're here in the lecture stage, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll just take a few questions. It's been a long day for me, so we won't do too many questions, but we'll have more of these events in the future. So, all right, so let's do Don and Doom invited to come up and speak. Are you there, Don?
Good evening, Monk.
Yes.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, okay, I'll go first. Thanks for having me up here. Very grateful for the opportunity to talk to you. I've actually watched your channel in the past a few times. I had a couple questions. Let me think about the first one.
Pick your most important question, okay? Just one question will do. What's your most
Yes.
important question, bud?
So at one point, I was much more into meditation like last year, and I was sort of practicing like the daily mindfulness like throughout, like trying to get the practice to bleed into the rest of the day and not just be, like a 10 or 20-minute thing that you do once a day and then kind of forget about. I actually reached the point where I was staying mindful of my body and my environment and emotions and all that throughout the entire day. But for one reason or another, it fell off. It felt like the more present I was, the more I realized the like constant presence of unpleasant feelings and emotions. Do you have any advice on how to deal with that being a discouragement?
You need to understand that you becoming aware of those unsatisfactory qualities of your mind and your body is becoming aware of the truth. Your mind is not satisfying. Your body is not satisfying. We can go our whole lives walking through a haze, through a fog, and some of us get lucky and some of us don't, or we can start to pull back the curtains on what reality is and what life is, what it means to be a human being. what it means to be an Adonis, a caretaker for the world. And when you do that, you start to find that there is adversity, there is difficulty in basically anything that you do. But it's that adversity and it's that ability to endure that empowers you. So you don't just take, a little bit of progress for, okay, I got a little bit of progress and that's great. You continuously make progress. You continuously be mindful. You don't just say, well, I was mindful for a few minutes and that's it, but you continuously bring mindfulness more and more into your life. But the path is not just being mindful. You need to do good deeds. That is, you need to do skillful activities. And there's many different avenues you can go. I just dropped something just fell over here. There's many different avenues you can go down to do those skillful activities that support your mindfulness. But an important one that I value a lot, is listening to Dhamma talks or wisdom talks from people who are much more experienced than you. In the same way that, when we're talking about mindfulness, when we're talking about being aware of the present moment continuously rather than falling into this fog of, living a dilly-dally story about our lives, right? But to step into the moment, right? To hit the alley-oop. You're not going to hit the alley-oop if you're caught lacking, if you're up in your head in some other time, some other place. So if you want to continuously be in the present moment, you have to understand that there are people who have gone really, really far in this. In the same way that people go really, really far in endurance running or in bodybuilding, right? And if you are working yourself to the bone at the gym and it's something that's very important to you and you're not making much progress for whatever reason, what do you need to do? You need to consult with a well-known advisor for bodybuilding or for working with the body, right? You're injuring yourself, you're not eating right, you're putting yourself in so much pain, or you're not making gains, you're not making progress, right? You need to consult with a well-known advisor. That's what Hamza operates as, that's what I operate as. But we have to understand that the mind is far more subtle, refined than the body, right? So think about muscles, right? Think about getting stronger or increasing cardiovascular, you want to get your muscles bigger or whatever, right? You're tearing them and you intake protein and then the muscles rebuild bigger. That's all that's happened. I mean, it's, it's a little bit more detailed than that, but that's all that's happening, right? You're tearing the muscles, you have protein in your body, the muscles rebuild, they get bigger. This is the same thing that happens with squirrels. Squirrels can also do bodybuilding. They just don't have the intention to do it. The brain is not tear a muscle and get bigger. That's not what the brain is, right? The brain is what sets us apart from all other creatures that we are aware of. Maybe dolphins got something going on, but as far as we know, this is totally sets us apart from all other beings that exist in the universe. As far as we know, we just know about Earth. We should be very humble about the universe. We don't know anything about anything, really. We know nothing about the universe. Zero. We don't even know anything about we can't even go in the ocean. There's not even you can't even take an ocean trip, let alone the universe. Can't even go down into the ocean. So
Yeah.
so what we have to understand is that the mind is exceedingly subtle, vast. And if you want to work with the mind, and if you take up the practice of going deep into the mind and training the mind, it's very important that you consult with and listen to well-known advisors. So I can offer some recommendations, but that's basically what you should do. And in terms of dealing with those unpleasant states that can come up as you practice more deeply, as you become more and more aware of yourself and the actual state of your mind, rather than the dilly-dally cotton candy fog that we like to make for ourselves, you practice to be aware of that experience, to be aware of it coming up, and to be aware of it going away, and to not self identify with that thought, with that experience, with that emotion. A way that you can do that is when you notice the strong emotional reaction or feeling or negative thought, what have you, you notice it and you detach from it by relying on physical sensations of the body rather than the perpetuation of self-identifying with that thought, with that experience. And you endure. That's the biggest thing. You endure rather than give up or rather than fold or rather than buy into it or get into a fight with it. You endure. And through that endurance, you grow. You grow in resiliency, and you also grow in contentment, because you find how lovely and how sweet and how wonderful it is to have a body that's healthy, to have a nice place to sleep, to have a non, that you're not in a war zone, that you're not being attacked. There's this great state of contentment that can come up, gratefulness that can come up. So that's also important. And if you need further information, Doom, you just send me a DM, all right? We're not going to go into it now. Send me a message.
Okay. Thank you. I think that you made a connection in my brain between like, like progressive overload, actually working to improve your life and increasing your endurance mentally. Thank you.
Okay, good. And how do you endure? Be patient. Don't do anything. Just be patient, breathe, and be aware. You'll endure for sure, or you won't. You'll die, and you'll get another shot next time. Yeah. So let's go to Do Don Musodi.
Don Mioza. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you have a question?
Yes, I have a piece of advice and a question right after. So, just working back to what you said about the masks, what I've experienced throughout my life is that whenever you find yourself wearing that mask, it can not just be put on by yourself, but from other people. The people you surround yourself with can make you put on a mask that, in the end of the day, is just not you. Like, I surrounded myself with negative people, and because of that, I put on a mask that was a negative person to myself. And so, I just want to give a cautionary tale that if you find yourself in that negative headspace with negative people, please get out of that. I don't care how much you love them, but you just have to remove yourself from that. And then the question that I have is that even though I have this advice, it's you know, I struggle to take my own advice. So then how do you have any recommendations on how to like not fall, into a negative headspace with negative people?
Yeah, you need to focus more on being kind to those people. Don't worry so much about labeling people as negative. Worry about your negativity that you're bringing to those situations. If you are really bright and you are really taking care of your mind and taking care of your goodness, people won't be able to be negative to you. Negative people won't be able to be around you, because you'll bring this kind of, not vague positivity, not like I love all the people in the world, but like a very embodied, powerful, sincere, like, well, let's, this let's try to take care of this, and let's not be so negative. Let's look at this from a different angle. Or, hey, are you okay? You seem like you're going through something, and you have to find what that is for you, but it's bringing this empowered positivity. One of the ways you can do that is through developing a sense of loving kindness or a sense of loving friendliness to yourself, to your negativity, because we've got all kinds of nasty stuff inside of ourselves, right? We've got all kinds of nonsense. We want to eat people and uh, kill people. I mean, human beings, we do all kinds of horrible things, and we all have that kind of animalistic machination going on in our mind in one way or another. So that can discourage us, or that can put us into a place of kind of being a self-combatant, being a combatant with ourselves. And we don't want to do that. That makes other people also feel uncomfortable around us, and it can promote their negativity or make us feel disempowered when we're around that negativity, because we don't relate to our own negativity in a very embodied way, or a deep way, just a surface way. We cover it up, we put some sweets on it, we take a shower, and YouTube time. So, but we don't actually cultivate this sense of, loving kindness, this friendliness to, I'm going to be friendly, I'm going to be friendly to myself. And we actually develop that energy. So you can do it through a practice just as simple as, may I be happy. We all want to be happy, right? We have this wish, we have this intention. So we can repeat as an affirmation, may I be happy. May I be happy. And you sit with that, you repeat it deeply, and you bring up this sense of power to that wish, to that intention. So when you're around negative people, or when you're in a situation where you start to have some of those, I'm going to eat that person, or something like that comes up, I'm going to kill that person. There's a sense of friendliness that can match that can meet that. And so even though you might feel overwhelmed by that sense of the negative people around you, or that negative idea, feeling, self conflict that's coming up, there's this sense of friendliness towards yourself that meets that, and puts a barrier between that getting out of control. Even to make you very uncomfortable at that time. It might be a little bit uncomfortable rather than very uncomfortable. And most importantly, that we don't act out some kind of negativity, that we don't go and punch someone in the face because we think that they're negative, or get into an argument, or overreach in a situation because we just have this sense of urgency or conflict, this sense of friction. But rather than that, there's this friendliness that we can develop to meet that, and calm it and settle it. All right. And if you want
Thank
some
you,
more,
Monk.
yes. And if you want some more resource for that, for like loving kindness, loving friendliness, you can send me a message. All right. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So this has been a really wonderful time. I want to express my deep thanks for the Hamza's Discord for hosting me, for having me to host this lecture. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in on the YouTube channel. So this lecture is recorded, and people will be able to watch it later on if they have the interest to do so. And I also want to invite anyone who's been listening and who's really participated in this lecture, if you would like to join a meditation community. I do have a Discord server. We have over 2,500 members, and that's the main place where I teach group meditations and, all that jazz. We've got a big community over there, and we support each other on the path of becoming enlightened and developing in meditation. So if you have an interest to join that, I'm going to post the link in the lecture chat channel. It's also in the description of the YouTube video. But I will say for anyone who joins that server, please, it's not a meme server, it's not an initiate server, it's a real community space. And before you type anything, you need to get verified. And to get verified, you need to read the entire welcome channel, #welcome channel. You need to read all of it and read it closely, so that you know what this community is about and you know how to introduce yourself properly. Okay. And so we have kind of a barrier wall for people. If you really want to join the community and you want to join for meditation and be a part of it, you have to read the full welcome channel, introduce yourself, and once you get into the server, once you're verified, read the Get Started channel, read the Resources channel, read the official channels. It's a minimalistic server design, but there's a lot of resources there and information that you need to read so that you understand where you're at. Okay. So thank you all so much for being here. I'll just close out, with a little bit of Buddhist chanting. All this was coming from a lot of support from a Buddhist background. I do consider everything that I've said to be secular, and not religious, but it is coming from Buddhism, and I'm supported by the Buddhist community. So in recognition of all that, I'll just offer some Buddhist chanting to finish our session together. Okay? Thank you all for being here. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu. 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 May you all attain enlightenment. Be well, be happy, be peaceful. Thank you.